10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is Universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
So, Hick, we're talking about the Jags and the Steelers, and it got me to thinking about certain games. And I think there's one that will live, in Jags memories for a long time. Now, I'm learning from the text line that memory can get a little bit faded. And I'm talking about a Monday Night Football game, Hick, back in September of 1997. The Jaguars were coming off that incredible 1996 season that saw them run all the way to the AFC Championship game. Mark Brunell, remember, had injured his knee in the preseason. We were all just desperately worried for Bruni. He got it hurt up at the Giants in the preseason. But he came out in week 3, a little ahead of schedule, with the Jaguars in front of are you ready for this one? A record crowd of 73,000 at then Alltel Stadium on that Monday night when the Jags hosted the 2-0 Steelers. 6 seconds left in the game. The Steelers had driven it down the field on the Jaguars defense to put themselves in a position to kick a 40-yard field goal for the victory. The Jags up 2 points, 23-21. Now, I believe it was
Norm Johnson was the kicker.
That's exactly who it was. Norm Johnson, a great Falcon at one point of his career. But Norm Johnson of the Steelers comes out for the 40-yarder. Now, here's where, by the way, suddenly there were 90,000 people in the stadium, as fans recall. Oh, yeah, I was there for that. So that's one thing. And then also this, the memory gets a little bit misshapen. I think there's a lot of people that think that the block by Clyde Simmons and ultimately the return by Chris Hudson for a touchdown. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it saved the game. The block saved the game. The touchdown was just window dressing. It didn't matter because so it's not like the Jags were tied or down and that won the game for them, but it certainly preserved it. But 6 seconds to go, 40-yarder. Clyde Simmons blocks it. Safety Chris Hudson scoops it up 58 yards down the Steelers sideline for a touchdown.
The great thing about that was that Bill Cowher, who was the then coach, no longer a Ponte Vedra resident, was on the field, actually kind of walked towards.
No, he took a step like he had to stop himself from. Now that was the frustration of missing the field goal and ultimately losing the game. But so. There we are, 1997, after that run in 1996, back out on the field. The Steelers were a good team that year. They had been to the Super Bowl just 2 years previous, and the Jags in one of the more memorable games at the stadium. But there's so many things there. For anyone thinks...
In fact, it's funny, Pross, that following month, the next month, was the one that I was talking about with the shuttle pass to Bettis, and the Steelers lost or beat the Jags in overtime 23-17. So 97, 2 hugely memorable games. But the thing that really stands out to me is the Jags lead this series. I mean, this is the proudest thing this franchise owns, is that they lead the series against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Because it's not just the name, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we talked about the Steelers have been to 4 Super Bowls since the Jags came around.
Right.
The Steelers have been to the playoffs out of those 26 seasons like 18 times. I mean, they very rarely fallen as low as 6-10, even when they have a losing season or a non-playoff
Well, we
season.
chronicled that yesterday,
right.
Correct. They haven't had a losing year since like 2003 or something. So the fact that we're 14-12 and that we won important games against them too, it's not like we just won when they happened to catch us at a good moment and they weren't playing good or anything like that. I mean, we beat them in a 2 different playoff games up there. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, and beat them in the regular season those same years. It's hard to play a team twice in their building. It's darn near impossible to beat them twice in their own building. Fact, no other team, not the Ravens, not the Colts or the Patriots or anyone else, has beaten the Steelers twice in Pittsburgh in the same year, both regular season and postseason, and the Jags have done it twice. It's just, like I said, if there ever was going to be some unbelievable upset victory, it would be the 1-8 Jags against the 9-0 Steelers. The series is kind of gone that way. So
yeah, for sure.
We'll see. For many of you out there, whether it's a win, is a win a loss? Is a loss a win? different ways to look at it. I see the Pac-12 has voted to allow non-conference games. That's a good move on November 20th. Way to go, Pac-10. You're Pac-12. You're right there. You're keeping up with everything.
Well, it's a smart move because it allows them to fill in games quickly. Somebody was saying like Colorado should play Colorado State immediately. Those types of, whatever. If you lose a game, you find somebody else to call, and so you get that game on your docket.
It seems like it wouldn't be that easy. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to find it.
But, who was it? Cal and UCLA were able to, find each other in a 48-hour
Cal and
period.
UCLA each had a game canceled last week because of the other team, so they decided, all right, we'll play Sunday at UCLA. Who won that game anyway? UCLA? I'm not even sure.
I think I read that UCLA is 500 for the first time in the Chip Kelly era, so I don't know if they won their first one or not, or I don't know, but yeah.
BYU could be one. Coach Kalani Sitake says that the Cougars are trying to add one more game to the schedule because they have a long open stretch. These schedules are dog meat, man.
Well, listen, hold on one second now. That would be brilliant on BYU's part.
Well, if they're trying to get into it, but yeah, and here's the thing. Here's what's the beautiful thing is we've completely relaxed the standards when it comes to that level team playing. It ain't like they're going to go play Oregon, Hick, or USC. Just when these schools play a Power 5 team, they get so much credit. So yeah, pick some bottom feeder. They should play Utah. They should play Utah.
Just schedule one, and if you're BYU, 100%. 100% take one of those.
I just don't. I think the Pac-12 making this announcement this late in the process, it's going to be hard to find teams that are going to be able to just do that on the drop, especially with COVID. I mean, you have different travel, protocols and otherwise. Maybe it'll work. Maybe they can find, northern Colorado.
It'll be tough, but I'm just saying, like,
Fresno's.
for me, if I'm BYU, I'd look to schedule something anyway. I mean, you got nothing to lose because you're not getting in. But what if you did get, to play USC or a team that was maybe 4-0 at the time you played them from the Pac-12 and you handled them? Then what?
Well, it's like it just seems like the design of this in total just doesn't seem like it's feasible. Like, listen to how this is described. Colorado is the lone Pac-12 team without an opponent this week. Colorado on Thursday issued a statement saying it would not look to schedule a non-conference opponent for this weekend despite the Pac-12 ruling. Like that would even be possible to play. You know what they're doing? They're killing all these notions of how important it is to practice and film work and prep work. I mean, UCLA and Cal didn't know they were playing each other until 2 days before they played.
If they both don't know it, though, it's, in that respect, yeah.
But Colorado, that's the good level opponent for BYU. They're undefeated, quote unquote.
Yeah.
They're not going to beat you. So you got to be smart scheduling. Anyway, I don't know. I found it weird. Why would you not allow it from the get-go? Things are worse now than they are better. Does anyone in any of these conferences think about case scenarios and what you're going to do if that happens? I feel like the Big Ten and Pac-12 in particular are just flying by the seat of their pants.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they are. They are. So
not that it matters. I'm not sure, Dan, and this is not easy to say.
Oh, dear.
Because there are a lot of different weeks where a lot of different parameters could come into play. And I may very well, despite the bemoaning I'm about to do, I may look in the direction of this fair conference when it comes to the Friday 5-pack in just a little bit. But this weekend in the SEC, ugh.
Yeah.
Dude, what about the spreads? Florida, 31.5-point favorite at Vanderbilt. Alabama, 30-point favorite over Kentucky. Auburn, 10.5 hosting a terrible Tennessee team. Georgia, 25-point favorite over the ridiculously pirate-led Mississippi State Bulldogs. South Carolina is in the crapper, so Mizzou comes to town. It's the biggest who cares game ever. It is not a good week in the Southeastern Conference, my friend. When you're pinning the competitive bell cow of the weekend being 2-3 LSU against 3-4 Arkansas, it's not a good week in the Southeastern Conference.
No, it's not.
No one's playing anybody, and the good teams are 4 touchdown favorites.
Yeah, but I always look forward to if my team's playing. I'm always happy.
Sure,
as long
agree.
I'd rather. I'll say this, and you'd probably disagree, but I'll take this weekend over a non-Gator weekend with
I don't disagree.
3 really good ones on tap.
No, I don't disagree.
If you had, okay, because if you, to me, and this is part of being a fan, so I think people would understand it, but if you had, especially when your team's going good too. So, I mean, if you had Georgia, Bama, Texas A&M, and, LSU and whomever else, no Gators, I'd rather watch.
I would too. No, 100%. I'd rather watch my team. If that was the only college football game all day, I'd be fine with. So yeah, no.
So my point being, I know that at noon tomorrow for 3 hours, I'm going to be doing one thing and one thing only, and that makes me happy.
And we talked earlier in the week, the overall schedule. Well, listen, this is part of the COVID and the less teams and the schedules being, disrupted, right at the deadline for the game to be played. That's part of the reason. But week to week, it hasn't been great scheduling for college football. Like you said, follow your own favorite team, and it doesn't really matter. I don't know if you saw this, Dan, but ESPN, who has just gone analytic crazy, they also have gone through the analytics and played out the remaining schedule and calculated the chances for each conference to send teams to the playoffs. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, which conference, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12, or American, has the best chance to send a team to the playoff?
I'd say SEC.
SEC, 97%, the best chance. I'm surprised, but only 81% for the ACC sending one team. How in the world is Clemson or Notre Dame not going? I don't know. I guess Notre Dame had to get upset by somebody and then beat Clemson again, but it seems like the ACC, don't you feel a lot better than 80% certain the ACC is going to have a team?
Yeah, but your scenario is a fair one. I believe Notre Dame still plays North Carolina, and I think they'll handle them. But Notre Dame's the kind of team that can, they have a game like that.
Fair.
So let's say they get upset, but yet they're also have proven their mettle against good teams this year. So you think, okay, well, maybe it wasn't a fluke. Maybe they'll go play Clemson. I mean, they dominated Clemson in the trenches. So, yeah, but I don't. Well, do I think that'll happen? No. Do I think I think the ACC has the best chance to send 2 teams to the. Okay, well now
I've set you up for the second question because it's really not about which conference has the best chance to send a team. I think at the end of the day, the SEC, Big Ten, and ACC are all going to have a team there, in my opinion. All right, but which conference has the best chance to send multiple teams to the playoff? In other words, which conference?
I said the ACC.
You'd say the ACC. They're third, according to ESPN's analytics. Would you like to guess again? Which conference has the best chance to send 2 teams to the playoff?
No, because I feel that I'm correct, and I don't think that ESPN's got it right.
Well, I'm just going by the chart I'm looking at. On this,
for them to say there's third, like there's one conference, like the only other conference you can even argue is the SEC.
Well, that's number 2 when it comes to the percentage chances of sending multiple teams.
Well, I have no idea what
according to this, the Big Ten has the best chance of any conference, but multiple teams. They have a 26%. They say they have a 1 in 4 chance of sending 2 teams. Are they talking about the same Big Ten that I'm talking about?
Jeff, you understand how ridiculously ignorant that is.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because I knew it would.
I mean, who
hit you right in your sweet
who made
spot.
that list?
ESPN's analytics department, the Football Power Index, whatever it is, the All-State Playoff Predictor. There you have it, friend.
You know what we need to do?
What's that?
ESPN,
who would the second team be, by the way? I mean, the Northwestern.
ESPN. Here's what we need to do. ESPN needs to open an analytics gambling site. In other words, you can call it whatever you want, and you go there and you bet against their analytics.
That would be fun.
So much money.
That's
the
a good
money
idea.
that you will rake in will devastate ESPN and finish them off.
Well, especially they especially do this wrong. They'll give a team way too high a probability to win at odd times of the game. In other words, it'll be 7-0 in the end of the first quarter, and they're giving the team a 70%. You know what I mean?
I know.
So if you could vote against that and get the same return, all right, you're saying they're 70%, so you're gonna have to pay me 7-3 if I win.
Right. You got in game. You want to have those in game.
Right.
gambles. Yeah, that's fine. Do you think that that's accurate? Would you like to make a dime bet that the Big Ten will send? If anybody sends
hell?
2, it'll be
What?
the Big Ten.
Are you crazy? I can't disagree
I
with
mean,
that
I'll
more.
take some of that.
Listen to me. I
that's
don't even understand, to be honest with you, how they can even think that. And here's why. Indiana and Ohio State are the only 2 undefeateds on the eastern side. They play this week. Northwestern and Wisconsin are the only 2 unbeatens on the western side. Guess what? They play each other this week. So coming out of this weekend, you're going to have most likely an undefeated Wisconsin and an undefeated Ohio State, who eventually are going to have to play. And I got bad news for Wisconsin. When you go through your Big Ten schedule, and by far the biggest, toughest game you play is Ohio State, and you lose it, you are most certainly not going to the playoff.
No, of course not. Especially when you've also missed 2 games, Prof.
Yeah, I don't.
Let's not forget. Wisconsin right now has a 6-game schedule, Jeffrey.
Yeah, they're 2-0. Well, the 6-game schedule, and then if they go 7-0 and beat Ohio State in the championship game, they'll go to the playoff. The question then becomes, you put Ohio State in with 8 games and a loss over Clemson or Notre Dame, either one. What if Florida beats Alabama? What is that going to do to everything?
Make it fun.
That's one word for it.
Yeah, make it fun. So. Yeah. So anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, there's no chance the Big Ten sending 2. I would continue to argue about them sending 1.
Well, that's why I brought it up. It's some things just shock you when you look at them and you read them, and that one didn't make sense to me. I just don't know the path for that to even happen. It'd be one thing if you had a great path.
One more thing before we had to break. Speaking of Ohio State, they got the number 1 quarterback from Texas who was going to go to Texas.
Yeah, I saw that.
But now he's off to Buckeye land, which, the rich get richer. They've already got a quarterback pocket passer committed in 21. So, get ready for, another Joe Burrow leaving Ohio State in a couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to say, and also if your program is interested in him, just keep track of him, because in a year and a half, he's liable to be upset about his playing time, and
he'll be transferring back down to the state of Texas, and then maybe somewhere Oklahoma, and somebody can get him. So it's crazy.
I wonder at what point does Tom Herman's feet get held to the fire in Texas? I mean, he's just not performing at all. I mean, they're 2 losses again this year, 22nd in the country. I mean, Texas has had like preseason top 10 kind of ceilings the last few years, and it ain't playing that way, is it?
Well, I think he's got a real good chance of getting to the championship game, Big 12 championship game, which is good for him with those 2 losses, I believe.
Well, you got 5-1 Iowa State, you got 4-1 Oklahoma State, you got 4-2 Kansas State, 4-2 Oklahoma, 4-2 Texas. Now Texas lost to Oklahoma, so that would probably hurt them. But they need Iowa State to lose a game. That's what they need, because if Iowa State doesn't,
they play Iowa State.
Well, they'll have to win that game, because they won't go if not.
All right, Beef, let's do caller number 5, 641-1010 right now, 641-1010. Tell them what they're going to take home.
Caller number 5 right now, it's 641-1010. Going to go home with a lovely $20 gift certificate from our friends over at Moe's Southwest Grill, so they can dine on us right now, 641-1010.